We are filming a boat, not just any boat, the Candela boat. Very bra. How do you make films about a flying boat that does not exist yet when you begin? That's the mission me and Otto got in September in 2021 for one of my dream clients, Candela. And at this time, nobody thought it was going to take over a year to complete the 3 films we set out to make. Candela are making electric hydrofoiling boats that reduces the amount of energy that it takes to move a boat on the water by some 80%. They do it by lifting the boat out of the water using hydrofoils, and instead of going through the water, the boat goes over the water, and this takes away all the resistance of the water. I didn't know anything about this technology or how it worked when we started this. Sure, I had seen some foil surfing and it looked fun, but I never looked any deeper into how it worked. On our first meeting with Candela, they asked us if we can make 3 films. One about the pod motor that's totally submerged under the water, one about the foiling system, the actual wings that makes the boat pop out of the water, and one about the control system that keeps it stable while it is up in the air. The problem or challenge now is that all the tech that we are going to make films about is for Candela's new boat, the C-8, which does not exist yet. It only exists as 3D renders and some images that are all constructed in the computer software. So that makes it kind of hard to film. And to get a feel for the experience of riding one of these boats, Maria from Candela takes us out on their previous model, the C7. The experience is completely different from a normal boat because it's silent and smooth, and you can actually talk to each other while going full speed, which feels a bit strange, but at the same time it's an amazing feeling. And it's new kind of experience for me, and I like it, and I believe in this product, which is always a really nice thing to do when you're supposed to make films about it.
The consumption is only 1 kilowatt hour per nautical mile, which is roughly like 0.1 liters of gasoline.
After the test ride, we sat down with Gustav, who is the founder of Candela, and he talked us through how the technology works. I don't know if me and Otto got any wiser at that point because the equations were a bit on the heavy side for us, but at least we knew that this kind of amazing nerdiness is what we wanted to capture on the films. Because when you don't understand something, it's a really good indicator that this is going to be interesting for someone else. And the question is, how are we going to explain this in a nerdy enough way, but still make people understand what's going on here? And how do we weigh these against each other? It's a challenge, but it's a fun challenge. So we accepted it. So we collaborated with the passionate people of Candela to create scripts for the 3 films. And we shot the talking head parts for 2 of the films in December of 2021.
The first problem you run into is that batteries are very, very heavy. So you need to reduce the amount of batteries you put into the boat.
But instead of changing the RPM of the propellers, I simply changed the angle of attack of the foil.
At this point, a hull for the new boat was present in the factory, and it looked enormously huge next to the previous model. And then the waiting game began. We wanted to take the first finished boat and shoot it in action out in the water, but this was during the winter in Sweden, so there was ice to consider and a million other reasons that needed to work before we could get the actual footage that we needed of the boat to complete the films. It actually took until August of last year, 2022, before we finally locked in a day where the weather was good enough to go out and shoot, and everybody's calendar was empty, and there was a boat and a follow boat, which you need to have to be able to film a boat. Shooting a boat in high speed from another boat that's also traveling at high speed is usually extremely difficult or almost impossible because the waves are crashing everywhere, and each one of the 3 dimensions of the world are moving in different directions at the same time. You're going up, you're going down, you're going sideways, and you're rolling, which means it's really hard to get stable shots, no matter how big of a gimbal you're carrying on the boat, because your feet themselves are moving a lot. But when your following boat is also a Candela, that's basically a gimbal in of itself. So when we were using that boat as a follow boat and having a gimbal on that boat, we got really stable shots. So we got some great footage with the weather shifting from rain to clouds to sun and then back again. Typical Swedish day in August. So with all of this footage that we got on this day, plus the drone footage we got on the same day, plus all the 3D renderings that we got from Danish 3D master Daniel, we could put the films together, but we had one left to shoot, and it was the one about the pod motor. For this, we wanted to have an actual pod motor to look at and demonstrate what it looks like. We set a shooting date for this in December, so that was almost precisely 1 year after the first shooting date.
We have the foil and we have the pod.
But at this time, it's also decided that the 3 films are going to premiere during CES, the huge tech event in Las Vegas that takes place early January each year. This gives us a deadline, and I love working against the deadline because it just turns the switch and you start getting things done in a much better pace than without a deadline. We finish all 3 films, they premiere during CES, and everything is great.
Brilliant design is about reducing complexity, and this is what we have done.
A Candela is actually more complex than your average airplane. It's much more comparable to a jet fighter.
Sometimes production takes time. Working with products that does not exist yet is so rewarding, especially when it's something like this that's actually pushing the limits of what's possible before. It's worth the wait. It's just amazing to be able to be a part of this. Both me and Otto are super proud of what we achieved. We're happy about the relationships we formed with the fantastic people at Candela, and we really hope that we get to do a lot more work together in the future. Because this company is just getting started. They are actually about to change the way one of the biggest polluting transport sectors is working. And this is going to help save the planet. That's what we're here for. So if you like this and you want to see more stories about the production work I do for clients, let me know and I will try to put a few more of these together. Hit subscribe and comment if you liked it, and ask me questions if you have any. I will try to answer everything. So I'll see you soon, and take care, and bye-bye.
Det är jobbigt, Mikael.